My name is Marcia. I'm a 42-year-old who's obsessed with capturing cute pictures of my pet dog on my mobile phone. I used to work desperately hard as a salesperson for a food manufacturer. I want to tell you the story of how I ended up leaving that company. About 10 years ago, I had a fiancé, Christopher, who was the same age as me. We both worked in the food industry, but not for the same company. Christopher was in a product development at a rival company. One time, I went on a sales call to a certain company and Christopher was also there to present his products, accompanied by a sales representative. And it was Christopher who said, "Let's exchange opinions and deepen our friendship." He invited me for a drink and we became close. It happened when I went to Christopher's house for a family meeting. It was my first time in such a situation, so even though I was used to meeting people through my sales job, I was so nervous that I was sweating buckets. However, in reality, my parents-in-law were very kind and treated me wonderfully. I worried too much. I thought to myself how lucky I was to marry into such a kind family. That was until his sister-in-law showed up. Christopher's sister-in-law, Roseanne, who is 10 years older than him, arrived late that day. I was dining completely at ease in the pleasant atmosphere created by my parents-in-law and was startled and hurried to stand up when Roseanne suddenly appeared. Christopher quickly said, Roseanne, this is my girlfriend, Marcia." He introduced me. However, Roseanne sighed. Christopher sure brought a noisy woman." Roseanne sighed again. I might have been a bit too flustered. It's true, I was hasty, and standing up during the meal might have seemed rude. Feeling regretful, I was about to lose hope when my mother-in-law, Lily, said, "It's nice to have someone lively around." And he smiled at me. I couldn't tell if she was being sincere or just covering for me, but her warm response was a relief. Roseanne snorted and then sat at the same table as us. "So, you're Marcia, right? What do you do?" I am in sales, same as Christopher." Every word from Roseanne felt heavy and prickly. Is she a detective or something? "Sales, huh? Must be easy just selling stuff, right?" A line that could make every salesperson in the world an enemy, but I was too stunned by her sudden attack to respond. Christopher then said, "Roseanne, I know you might be stressed from work, but could you be a bit kinder in your words?" He defended me. "Work stress, isn't it the same for all workers?" I think I looked puzzled. "Roseanne married a guy who ran a high-end restaurant about 10 years ago and has been managing it ever since. 2 years ago, her mother-in-law, who was managing the place, passed away, and Roseanne took over." Hearing Christopher's explanation, I responded, "Really? Managing a high-end restaurant? That's impressive." But Roseanne, seemingly uninterested in expanding the conversation, just snorted without looking at me. Round 1. Roseanne's jab exploded. Caught off guard, I was hit squarely, losing my balance. About a month later, I was suddenly invited to dinner by Roseanne. Actually, I had exchanged contact details with Christopher's family at the family meeting, but it was just a formal exchange, so I was startled to hear from her. Lily would have been one thing, but Roseanne? Then Roseanne said, "Let's deepen our friendship." That was nice of her. But to me, the way she acted at the family meeting was too intimidating. I just couldn't understand why she behaved that way. What was it about me that irritated her so much? Or was it just that she was really stressed and happened to be in a bad mood that day? I was anxious about possibly offending Roseanne again if we met one-on-one, but it would be rude to decline her invitation. I have overcome similar challenges in sales, so I figured I could handle this. Roseanne drove up to our meeting place and sighed when she saw me. "We're going to eat, so you could have dressed a bit better." I was wearing skinny jeans, a casual blouse, and a delicate necklace that day. Nothing too out of place for a lunch outing. My outfit wasn't anything too out of place for a lunch outing. Round 2. I was hit with a jab right at the start. Roseanne drove me to a well-known high-end restaurant in the area. "For someone like you, it must be rare to eat good food, right? I'll give you a chance." Another right hook hit me. Here I am, not yet married, right in the middle of my saving period. I hadn't expected to be brought to such a fancy place, so I was worried about the money I had on me. What if she ordered a full course? Would she be annoyed if I only ordered small individual dishes? While worrying about these things, I followed a confidently striding Roseanne into the restaurant. Oh, it's such a shame to eat delicious food in this state of mind. I should be content with instant ramen or something for lunch, especially since I'm in saving mode. As expected, Roseanne casually ordered a course meal. Excuse me, I didn't bring much money with me. Can I step out to go to an ATM? It was quite embarrassing, but I had no choice. Then Roseanne burst out laughing. Oh my, really? You don't have money? Aren't you in sales? Don't you earn a decent salary? How do you manage meals with clients? She ridiculed me at every opportunity, laughing heartily. It became clear to me she just doesn't like me. By the way, if we are talking about base salary, I earn more than Christopher, but Christopher often does overtime and works on holidays. So maybe we earn about the same in the end? It's fine, I'll pay. I can afford to treat a poor person to a meal. Is Roseanne trying to assert her superiority over me? I offered to pay her back later, but she stubbornly refused to accept it. In a different light, she might seem like a tough but kind-hearted sister-in-law treating me to dinner, but it didn't feel that way. Every chance she got, she looked down on me with a sneer. Above all, her tone was pretty harsh, and Roseanne looked clearly triumphant and seemed to be enjoying it. Don't pretend to be something you're not. Poor thing. In the end, I had to let her treat me. I had a feeling she invited me to dinner intending to look down on me. Her attitude suggested she had no interest in deepening our friendship. How is it, the taste of high-end cuisine you're not used to? Roseanne asked me after I took my first bite. True, I can't claim I'm used to it, though I do eat here occasionally for business, I thought. But I stayed silent to avoid her anger. Yes, it's really delicious, I answered honestly. Then Roseanne suggested having alcohol. Truthfully, I would have liked to say yes right away, as I do enjoy alcohol, but I was worried about getting scolded again. As I hesitated, she asked, "Don't you even know the taste of alcohol?" I wanted to say the opposite, but all I replied was, "I'm average." Actually, both Christopher and I are quite fond of alcohol. When we dine out together, we always choose places with a wide variety of alcoholic drinks. I have professional level information about good restaurants, but now is not the time to provoke Roseanne. When I was contemplating this, Roseanne ordered an expensive white wine. Fish definitely goes with wine. You, being poor, probably never had the chance to appreciate fine wine with your impoverished taste. I don't understand why she insists on wine. If it's delicious and goes well, isn't that enough? Is that wrong? The meal, which should have been enjoyable, gradually lost its flavor due to Roseanne's strange mood and unpleasant attitude. The haute d'oeuvre bought from a supermarket and eaten with Christopher's parents-in-law tasted much better. In the end, it's not just about the cost of the meal, but also the atmosphere of the place that adds to its taste. With these thoughts, I mechanically continued to eat the fine cuisine. The second round, too, was a one-sided affair with Roseanne dominating throughout. I barely managed to avoid a knockdown. Fortunately, I didn't have any further encounters with Roseanne after that. When I told Christopher about the restaurant incident, Christopher apologized, saying it's because of her abnormal obsession with me. I'm sorry. Apparently, it was mostly Roseanne who took care of a young Christopher in place of his working parents. Consequently, Roseanne's over-affection for Christopher was even greater than Lily's, making her particularly harsh towards Christopher's romantic partners. When he was a child, she even spitefully threw away the belongings of his female friends. It's been like this since childhood, so her treatment of you, Marcia, being serious about marrying me must have been tough. I'll give her a piece of my mind. Christopher's offer was appreciated. Thinking positively, maybe she just wanted to show her superiority by treating me to the meal. I'm not so delicate as to be upset by a little harassment. Christopher listens to me properly, and I can let verbal abuse slide off my back. So I answered, "I'm fine. You don't need to do anything." Even if there are some troubles, they are the family of Christopher, whom I love. If there is a chance, I would like to get along with them. That was all I thought. Then the day came for a dinner with both families. We invited both set of parents to the restaurant we planned to have our wedding at. I hadn't seen Roseanne since that meal at the restaurant. I didn't like the idea of leaving her treat as it was, so I tried to return the favor through Christopher. It seems she didn't accept it, but Christopher said he had forcefully put it in Roseanne's mailbox. It was also a long-awaited reunion with my parents-in-law. The restaurant we chose for our wedding venue is a high-end place known for its wine and fresh seafood with a view of the sea. I thought it was a fitting place for such an important and memorable day. It was the first meeting between my family and Christopher's parents, whether we could get along well and successfully mediate to deepen the friendship. Christopher and I were worried, but the families were so congenial that even we got carried away with the relaxed atmosphere. It seemed like there wouldn't be any problem. Christopher and I breathed a sigh of relief. In fact, Christopher had said, "We're not inviting Roseanne to the dinner." He deliberately avoided using Roseanne's restaurant and kept the date and place a secret. However, Roseanne contacted the parents-in-law asking, "What happened to the dinner party? You could use our restaurant if you want." The information somehow got out in the course of that conversation. On the day of the event, Roseanne arrived late, setting a busy work schedule. I was genuinely grateful for her attendance at the dinner, so I expressed my thanks honestly. However, as soon as we started eating, Roseanne revealed her true colors. To serve such a simple dish of just sliced food on a plate for such an important day. As soon as the third round's gong sounded, an immediate right straight came flying in. The room went ice cold. Quickly, Lily intervened. "It's delicious, isn't it?" Trying to change the subject. My mom, Wendy, also replied with a smile. "Yes, it pairs well with the wine." Roseanne was eating carpaccio. According to her logic of just slicing and serving, all carpaccios would fall under that category. I wonder if her restaurant has a ban on carpaccio. Pairs with the wine? Do you just drink famous wines without caring about the manufacturing process? That's why amateurs are troublesome. She said this with a smirk, clearly belittling Wendy. Not knowing what face to make, my parents looked at me troubled. "Roseanne, can you please not embarrass me?" Christopher was furious even though she was his sister. Lily too admonished Roseanne. "Enough is enough. Roseanne just can't let go of her little brother. It's quite a problem." While apologizing to Wendy, Lily tried to lighten the mood with a laugh as if it was all just a funny story. But Roseanne, increasingly anxious as Christopher's wedding approached, was far from calming down. "Christopher, Mom, you both need to rethink this, marrying such a shabby girl." Roseanne was on the verge of exploding. When Roseanne's words finally enraged him, my dad Isaac stood up to confront her, but Wendy quickly stopped him. "I can't stand it. Such a poor, meager girl. You saw it today, didn't you? Both mother and daughter have no taste. I can't imagine what kind of meal she'll serve Christopher. Such poor upbringing." "Just let her talk." Isaac, no longer able to contain himself, threw his napkin on the floor, breaking free from Wendy's restraint. It seemed he had reached his limit. He probably wanted to confront Roseanne directly, but a shred of reason held him back. The dinner quickly turned into a complete disaster. "I'm not the bad one here. If you have something to say, just say it. Christopher doesn't need a girl and a family who can't discern good from bad. Please leave now." "Understood. Everyone, we're leaving." Prompted by Isaac, our family of three left the restaurant. Since then, no matter how many times Christopher came to apologize or how much Wendy tried to persuade him, Isaac refused to meet. The third round turned into a major uproar, both inside and outside the venue. It seemed beyond the capability of any judge to score. This was not how it was supposed to be. Our failure to prevent Roseanne's attendance at the dinner? I never expected her to turn that abnormal hostility towards my parents. I had underestimated her, thinking she was just overly affectionate towards Christopher. I want to marry Christopher, and we have confirmed our intentions with each other. Apart from Roseanne, I know Christopher's family is genuinely good. Yes, Roseanne is the only high barrier standing in the way of my life. With a resolve to learn from past mistakes, I decided to stand up and take action. I made a plan and went to Roseanne's restaurant. Worried about being turned away, I told her I didn't want to marry Christopher and wanted to apologize for my rudeness the other day. It was not something I believed, but when I humbly conveyed it, she agreed to meet me. She loves feeling superior. I was sure that suggesting an apology would appeal to Roseanne's ego. After a wait, Roseanne, having finished her work, appeared in front of me. "Sorry for the wait, I have been busy." She was smiling, but there was still some wariness. "I'm sorry for the other day. This is just a small token." I presented the wine I brought as a gift. "I heard you don't like sweets, so I chose wine. I'm worried if it will suit the taste of someone who knows the difference between good and bad." "Oh, is that so? Since you brought it, why don't we have a drink together?" Everything was going according to my plan. Roseanne savored the wine, rolling it around her tongue. "How is it? Does it suit your taste?" "It's smooth, not a bad choice for you, but which wine is this? It has no label." It seemed like the wine was easing Roseanne's guard. "Yes, it's from a famous winery. It's a new product and apparently doesn't have a label yet." "You managed to get something like that?" Roseanne looked surprised, but I didn't answer, and instead I replied, "How about some appetizers? They might not be to your liking, but I would appreciate your expert opinion." Upon hearing this, Roseanne made a pleased expression. Well, well, she made a smug, self-satisfied face. I opened the pack and laid out the appetizers. Roseanne reached for them and took a bite. "Oh, this is delicious. Which store is this from?" "Please?" Roseanne asked. "I'm glad it suits your taste." She seemed to like it as well. Good, good. "Thanks to you, Roseanne, I've had the chance to reflect on myself and study about taste." Roseanne replied, "You seem to be getting somewhat decent now." And she showed her usual arrogant smile. With her tone resembling someone looking down on an old junior, I stuck out my tongue inwardly. Typical. "Traditional shops have their value. They wouldn't be called famous if they weren't delicious. They have a solid track record. This wine and these appetizers, I can sense that in them." Roseanne spoke as if teaching me. "I'm glad you think so. Did you really find them delicious?" "Your poor taste isn't all bad, it seems. Not bad at all." Roseanne looked satisfied. "I'm glad that you liked our wine and my cooking." "What?" Roseanne, with her wine glass in hand, froze at my beaming smile. Actually, Roseanne's background of becoming a manager after the previous owner passed away had sounded familiar. I couldn't place it for a long time and was bothered by it, but Wendy's story after the dinner cleared it up. "That woman is the manager of the restaurant that our family winery supplies, right?" Wendy's family owns a winery that has been passed down for generations. Wendy's brother has taken over the winery, and Wendy still helps with sales and other aspects she can manage. I secretly write anonymously for the winery website, contributing to the section with simple appetizers recipes that pair well with wines. Our family's winery and Roseanne's restaurant have been doing business together for quite a long time, and all the wines served there are from our winery. I have even met the previous manager when I visited the winery. That manager was lamenting. "My son's wife is slow to learn and can't even use proper language with customers. I'm worried about the future of the restaurant. We should have arranged a marriage with a more capable girl." That wife was Roseanne. I'm sure the former manager would be in tears seeing Roseanne's behavior now. Of course, Roseanne had no idea who I really was. I only found out through Wendy's comment, and honestly, I never connected Roseanne's restaurant with our family business. Roseanne has no idea that I'm related to her supplier. I saw this as an opportunity. The wine I brought as a gift was a new spring release. Soon, a tasting barrel of it will be delivered to Roseanne's restaurant. The appetizers were from a recipe that had received great feedback in my cooking column. "I am glad you enjoyed a specialty from a famous winery and my cooking," I said, smiling at Roseanne. Roseanne was still frozen. "The winery that does business with Roseanne's restaurant is my mom's family's winery." Let me see it again. "The winery you have been mocking? Is that winery my mother's family's business?" "What did you say?" Roseanne's face grew paler by the second. "Those appetizers are a popular item sold at the winery, and they are handmade by me. I'm delighted that you enjoyed the taste of a famous store's offerings." I had been on the receiving end of blows early in the match, but now it was time for my counterattack. Behold my splendid footwork. Using Roseanne's attack to my advantage, I struck back. "Of course, the wine tastes good. All the wine in your restaurant comes from our winery. That labelless wine is a new release. "Stop making a fool of people," Roseanne's voice echoed through the restaurant, furious. "I'm not making a fool of anyone. You assumed they were from a famous store and enjoyed them thoroughly. I merely presented them." Roseanne seemed lost for words. "The wine is expensive, but the appetizers are inexpensive and unknown, yet you said they were delicious. Taste isn't determined by price or ingredients. It's about the maker's sincerity and the diner's openness. As someone managing a restaurant, you need to understand this. Besides, you have no right to boast about traditional flavors. You were completely fooled by my handmade cooking. Oh, maybe you and I have similar tastes because we are both poor?" Roseanne must have been very frustrated. "Shut up! Be quiet!" she yelled. I sneered at her. "Please stop! You've shown your true colors. The business between your restaurant and our winery is over. Unfortunately for you, find a new supplier. Goodbye." Ignoring the distraught Roseanne, I left the restaurant. Roseanne seemed to have no more will to fight. It was a TKO victory for me. Within a week, the business between Roseanne's restaurant and our winery was halted. Wendy had told her brother everything. However, I was concerned this might worsen my relationship with Christopher's family, so I decided to explain the whole situation to gain their understanding. Then Christopher told me he had disowned his sister Roseanne. It seems the parents-in-law decided to cut ties with their daughter to appease the furious Isaac and get his approval for mine and Christopher's marriage. It took some time, but Isaac eventually came to regard Christopher as a man who chose his daughter over his own sister, and we were able to get married without further issues. 10 years have passed since then. Roseanne's restaurant, which had been sustained through collaboration with our winery, gradually lost customers due to the cessation of our business relationship and was forced to close about a year ago. Her lack of consideration for her customers seemed to have accelerated the decline. Now I hear she and her husband are barely making ends meet with day jobs and part-time work. Meanwhile, I quit my job to become a housewife after giving birth. My husband's new product, which he developed, became a huge hit, leading to a double promotion. Once the children are a bit older, I dream of opening a bar in partnership with Wendy's family winery. Utilizing my cooking skills, I want to create a place filled with smiles and warmth, delivering love and sincerity to our customers. Well, for now, I'm busy learning to cook meals that my child says are more delicious than appetizers. So that dream might have to wait.